I had issues in Hell as well. Probably almost guaranteed to be because I was playing on veteran difficulty. But I think also a big part of it is I don't remember the spawn positions as well. Because even though I played the game inside out for over 20 years, if there's ever a game you've played that long, there's the parts of the game that you play more than others just because you like them more. So sort of like with Soldier of Fortune 2, I've been playing it since 2003, when it was almost brand new because it came out in '02. And I play it all the time, but there's certain maps I play more than others. And Hell's kind of like that for me. It was the same issue pretty much with like the CPU part before Sarge. And, I died a couple times in there, and mostly because I forgot. I don't know if I forgot exactly or if there's probably more Hell Knight spawns on Veteran. And most of my runs aren't on Veteran. And I can't remember the last time I did Veteran, but it's probably related to that bullshit. But it reminded me that, sort of like with the Soul Cube on Mars, um, it's the same deal for me with the BFG in Hell. Because at least on, before you fight the Guardian, you don't have the Soul Cube yet. But the BFG, um, like, same deal with the Soul Cube. I don't bother with the Hell Knights with that. Like there's the enemies that are like the higher tier enemies that you would think you would use certain weapons on. But it's like the Hell Knight is like, nah, I'll just dance around it with the shotgun, right? Like occasionally it'll throw a plasma ball thing or whatever. Um, but usually you can maneuver around it well enough, and it doesn't always throw them. I think it might be like the original Doom Hell Knight. Don't they do that where after a certain number of melee attacks, they just throw a fireball anyway, no matter how close or far you are, or something like that? I don't remember exactly, but yeah, sometimes they'll throw one anyway, and they have pretty good splash damage, and that can fuck you over. But when I was playing Hell, and you can get the kind of half hidden, sort of half secret BFG, the Hell Knights and all that spawn around it, I didn't even use it on, and it's kind of hard to get around them with the shotgun or other weapons in close range like that. But that's why saves come, right? But I saved the BFG and used it almost exclusively on the mancubuses because the mancubuses are such a pain in the ass, and it's just kind of funny that the Hell Knights. I mean, like there's one on the box art, right? They're used heavily in the advertising of the game. But the most asshole fucking enemy, that like non-boss enemy in the game, is the fucking Mancubus, right? Like they have more health, their attacks are way harder to deal with. The main issue though is that in Hell they'll also cluster fuck you with cherubs while they're doing it, because otherwise most of the Hell level you can backtrack and hide behind shit well enough to basically have them lumber towards you, and you're just popping out long enough to shoot them, and like again whittle at them with the shotgun or even just use it completely. But there's a couple of them where I just said fucking and just used the BFG. But the Soul Cube. Are there any Mancubuses on Mars after the Hell bit? So now all of a sudden I don't remember. I don't think there are. Are there? But either way, the uh, the BFG and the Soul Cube. It's always funny to see, as I mentioned, with like the shotgun in Doom 3 and like how good players will use it. It just made me think of that. But yeah, a lot of people back in the day said they liked the Hell part of Doom 3 and wish more of the game were like that. And to them, the downside was that it was kind of short. For me, that was more of an upside because I didn't really like how they did Hell in Doom 3. So I was kind of glad that it was over with. And that's part of why I didn't play it as much as, some of the other parts, sort of like the CPU bit. And yeah, I don't remember the spawns as well with that one. But it's probably veterans got more enemies on it. but it still wasn't that difficult. One of the upsides is, the infinite stamina, so you can bunny hop around, and it is more difficult in vanilla, but it still works well enough. But the main thing that'll fuck you over, if you like zig when you should have zagged or whatever, and that makes it, you know, kind of more fucking you over with veteran since you take more damage, is that whole thing, right? Like the mancubuses will just rapid fire their fucking rocket launcher things or whatever. But, it's sort of they sort of feel like a scaled up version of like the trites or whatever. Because trites or cherubs, like if they get close enough to you, they can box you in a lot of times if you like move wrong. Especially if you're like me on CPU and you forgot the layout. And once they're right up on you, they'll just attack you like there's no cooldown, right? They just keep attacking. You have no choice but to die or like reload a save before they die. You know, hell, they try to do that a little bit with the mancubuses, where like the ones on that one bridge part with like Thor's hammer slamming down or whatever the fuck it is. Um, they like will barrage you, but there's still enough space behind you to dodge out of the way of them. But the mancubuses don't piss me off. They're probably the most uh you know tanky enemy in the game. The only ones that I would consider more difficult per se would be the Archviles, mostly because they love to spawn in the most fucking ass rat fucking enemies to fuck you over. Like it'd be one thing if they were spawning in fucking Hell Knights or something, but they want to spawn in like cherubs and fucking commandos and shit. Any enemy that's got an annoying pseudo ranged attack, right? They always love to do that. And you know, you can say what you want about the scripted sequences and this and that in the game. The only thing that always annoyed me with Doom 3 was when they want to spawn shit rat enemies right behind you. There was a part near the end of one of the cave bits or whatever the fuck it was where I backtracked all the way to the start because you can find a PDA at a point in the level, and if you backtrack, there's like a weapon cache or whatever. Well, when you come back out into the room, a bunch of trites spawn in, and it's like, okay, that's annoying, but whatever. So I actually dealt with them without taking any damage. Well, then you walk into the next room, and now all of a sudden it spawns even more of them. Oh, and then also Caco demons. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? So I just reloaded my save. It's like, dude, I actually would have had more ammo by just not bothering, right? But then the very next map, they load you down because you're about to fight the fucking cyber demon. And it's like, they load you down on the parts there where you don't even need the ammo. But one of the things I like about the cyber demon is that the whole part of the level right before you fight it is just empty, right? So I like that part as a nice little breather, right? I wish Doom 3 would have had more of that, more sort of like breather levels. It seems like, the pacing story wise is okay, but as far as the gameplay, I don't think Doom 3's pacing was necessarily the greatest. And I feel like they should have had more of that. They should have had more bits in there where you didn't have to worry about dealing with any of the fucking enemies, right? But instead, it's like they took the parts that could have been or should have been breather levels and just loaded them with fucking spiders, right? Or fucking cherubs or whatever. At least with the wraiths, they don't have, like, they can't jump, they don't have a ranged attack. So there's a lot of places where you have to deal with them where you could just jump up on like a countertop and now they can't attack you or whatever. But yeah, for me, the scripted stuff, I actually like it to a large extent. It's more about how Doom 3 will do it a lot of times. Because I'm not a fan when games do this bullshit where, basically, don't spawn enemies when I pick ammo up, dude. Okay? It's like it makes it pointless to pick the fucking ammo up. And we're talking like a lot of games starve you of ammo. Doom 3 really doesn't do that much, which is nice. But like a lot of games, it's already hard enough to get ammo, but then they want to like punish you for picking the fucking ammo up. It's like, dude, don't do that, right? Don't spawn enemies right, but like there was a few parts in Doom 3 where I saw the enemy spawn right before it jumped at me, right? Like or like there's one bit on CPU where an imp will jump at you, but if you like stand next to the cubicle wall and jump upward, you can see where it's at has nothing there. Soon it like literally it spawns as soon as you come across the side of that 2 centimeter wide fucking cubicle, right? It's just bullshit like that. Don't do bullshit like that, or spawn enemies. Like Serious Sam can get away with it because that's part. Like I expect that with Serious Sam, and also a lot of times Serious Sam does it as a joke, right? It's like, this 1 HP pickup. Gee, I wonder what that'll do, right? It's like, yeah, I mean, if you're going to pick up one fucking hit point, you deserve it, right? But like, it's obvious. It's part of the meta of Serious Sam, right? It's like ludo narrative consonants. Like you expect it to be there, and they actually pull it off. But every other game that does it is just fucking annoying. And it's not even necessarily that great when Serious Sam does it either. But yeah, most of the issues you'll probably have with difficulty in Doom 3 is you get stuck in a corner and barraged by some rapid fire enemy. Like it's like the Mancubus with its rockets, or the Trites or Sheriffs, or like even the Imps can just sit there and smack you the fuck around if you're stuck in a corner and can't move. Like there's no cooldown on their attacks, and you're just done for at that point. Those are really the cock up cascade, as Yahtzee would have called it. You accidentally got too close to a corner or something, and then all the enemies box you, and now you're done for, or whatever. It's very, very, very punishing of minor mistakes. But then outside of that, you pretty much play the game blindfolded, right? And part of that is that it has really good sound design. But even with that, sometimes, as I had mentioned before, the enemies that don't get spawned in with pentagrams, most of the time you'll be able to hear them because they're already there. Yeah, except some of the ones where they do that, where they spawn them in that exact moment, but not through a pentagram, just to fuck you over. It's like, yeah, then you won't hear them breathing or whatever. But yeah, the sound design works when they're not fucking with you like that. That reminds me, one part I forgot to mention in the other video with the environmental storytelling and sound design shit. There's one part, I think it's Alpha Labs, that I love. And it's like you come off this one elevator and there's one next to yours. And if you walk past, you'll hear a voice say, "Over here." And if you like turn around, the doors open up and it's just the elevator shaft. And if you get closer to it, it spawns an imp behind you through a pentagram. I just thought, when they do shit like that, that's cool, right? I always like the little bits like that. In Doom 3, or like, Fear or whatever. One of my favorite parts in Doom 3 is actually your first sort of preview of a maggot. You don't see it yet, but there's this spot where as soon as the level starts and the doors open, you'll see this like set of yellow eyes blinking. And if you move a little bit closer to it, you see them kind of like lower down behind the crates that they were behind. Now, I already knew how this type of shit is done because, like I said, I've done level design forever. But yeah, it's just an alpha texture cutout that just moves downward when you get closer to it. But, I don't know. It just works. For whatever reason, I just think it looks cool. Just seeing the eyes there, and they're just going to look at you until you walk a little bit closer. That's sort of your first preview of the maggot. I'm pretty sure it is. I think. Do you fight the maggots before that bit? No, I don't remember. But either way, little shit like that I always thought was cool. Bringing up Fear, I might replay that again sometime soon, if possible. And make some videos on that. But I'm almost at 15 minutes on this one, so I'm just going to end this one here. And probably make one more video about the level editor shit and whatever. Anything I've meant to say but forgot about, I guess I'll just, when I'm putting together the videos and I listen back to them and then I remember, I'll be like, fuck, but whatever. I'm done with this one for now.